controlling. That actually came from here one day when somebody asked me a question, it must be about 5 or 6 years ago. After the talk they asked me this beautiful question: what do you think about this saying by the British scientist and philosopher Lord Kelvin, who died a couple of 100 years ago, one of the founders of science and also technology, Lord Kelvin, who once said, before you can control nature, in other words technology, you have to learn how to measure her accurately first. And so early science spent a lot of time devising systems of linear measurement, getting this standard meter, which actually is in Paris somewhere, standard meter length, standard time, atomic clocks, which actually can measure time so accurately, and other ways of measuring things, because without measuring things, how on earth can you control the world? And that was a brilliant insight which actually was part of the development of our modern world. Measure first, and then you've got control. And from that I saw that, well, what happens if you don't measure? You haven't got much control, have you? All control starts from a measurement, a judging. That's why you try and control your children, say. You're measuring them. You're judging them. You have them trying to fit some sort of judgmental scheme, especially if you're a parent and you want your kid to go to university. A lot of it is pride and conceit, jealousy even, about what the kid next door is doing. When the people next door, your friends, say, oh, my child got to UWA and studied medicine, what about you? He's only in TAFE redoing his TEE. There's just pride, that's all. And that poor kid, that may be just where he is in life. So why is it just we are judging people? Is the child who does medicine at UWA any better than a person who's learning bricklaying at TAFE? You ask them a few years later on, when the doctor sort of turns to drugs because he's stressed out, and the bricklayer is happily working with a nice family, making a lot of money. I read in the papers, and I get a lot of information from the papers, that if you want your son to do really well, apparently this was happening in UK, they said, do not send your sons to university, stop them doing their A-levels. He said, apprentice them to a plumber, because plumbers were earning more money than lawyers, because there was a great shortage of plumbers. And when your house leaks, or your plumbing starts to leak, and you can't have a bath and you can't sort of turn on the taps, you need a plumber straight away, and they can charge whatever they like, especially on Saturdays and Sundays. And these plumbers were making a fortune. After about 10 years as a plumber, you can retire with a Rolls Royce. Actually, I saw these builders in UK, and they were driving Rolls Royces, and they were just builders. So perhaps, if your son hasn't done well in TEE, well done. You may have a very wealthy plumber in the future, or this great builder, and what a wonderful thing to have in your family, because whenever you want a builder to build a house, or your friends, you've got one, it's your son. How hard is it to get a builder or a handyman these days? How hard is it to get a plumber to come at any time, and that's your son? You're set for life. So the reason I'm going on that angle there, this judging which we make, that if your kid gets to university or gets to UWA, they're somehow better than the kid who doesn't. Is that fair? Is that reasonable? But because of that judging, that's why we're controlling our kids. You work hard, you pass those exams, and you try and control them, influence them, do whatever you like to try and make them pass. Have you been in that place before, or similar places in your life? And what happens to you when you feel under the pressure because people are judging you? It's unfair, it's not right, it's not wise. So why do you do that to other people? One of the great things about real religion, I'm not talking about the false types of religion or the stupid types, and that's in Buddhism, Christianity, all over the place. Real religion doesn't judge. how can you honestly, fairly judge another human being? They're not the same, they're not better, they're not worse, they're just different. And that lack of judging of another human being is called metta, loving kindness. The door of my heart is open no matter who you are, no matter what you do. You've heard that before, that's the title of the book. But do you understand that what it really means is being non-judgmental, loving and respecting a person for who they are, not trying to make them something different, not judging them, and therefore not controlling them. How can you control them? Controlling them is wanting to be something different. They're good enough as they are, so how can you control? And you can take that further. Instead of just like loving kindness for this being or that being, loving kindness for yourself and your life, with all the tragedies and difficulties it's gone through. How can you judge your life? You've been to court because of some sort of accusation. You've